We have a lot to cover today.
We do.
We do. We have a big shop update tomorrow. So we're going to go through all the details of what's going to be available, have a bunch of examples to show, have a lot of stuff for Chris to hold up. And I'm going to talk about what I just finished knitting, what I plan on starting next. It's going to be a big one.
And then we'll just wing it, as we normally do.
And we'll see.
So, hello friends, welcome. I'm Chris, and this is my wife, Tanis. And if this is your first time tuning in, we together are Tanis Fiber Arts. We are a hand-dyed yarn duo. We make patterns, dye yarn, and generally live a life full of color, knitting, and as much as we can, fun.
Yes.
And if that sounds good to you guys, stick around. Let's get into it.
All right. So tomorrow's shop update.
It is Friday.
Yeah. I wish we had a regular schedule that I could be like, tune in every Friday for shop update news. But we don't. But we're getting better. So we have a shop update tomorrow, Friday, February 18th. And this is also funny because maybe people aren't watching this today. I'm still not sure on how is best to approach these types of things because all this information is only relevant today.
Whenever you watch it, we're putting it on permanent record. I don't even know the date tomorrow, but Friday after Valentine's Day.
I think I just said the date.
Did you?
February 18th.
Wow.
It's tomorrow.
Pay more attention.
So, but hopefully it's still valuable to like hear people talk about color and see pretty colors. And even if things are sold out, you know, we do things regularly. So
yeah. Speaking of pretty color, I'm looking at the camera now. And you look resplendent in that sweater.
Oh, yay. Oh,
you kind of look camouflaged into the yarn wall, but
yeah. Well, a lot of this yarn came from that yarn wall.
For sure.
So this is my Gartrell crew.
So nice.
Thank you.
I would wear it. Exact colors.
You can make yourself one.
I won't.
Okay. So this is my pattern. I released this in the fall, I think. I mean, maybe the spring. I have no idea. But I love it. I know I knitted in the spring. That's why I'm very confused. But at any rate, I have a cardigan version of this sweater. And now I also have a crew neck version of this sweater. I think I wear the crew neck more because I just love a pop over.
Yeah. I'm taking care of the cardigan component today.
You're a cardigan man. You've worn this on the podcast before a few years ago where I promised I was going to write up the pattern.
And you did.
Not
yet.
Still, you look good in it though.
I love it.
But this sweater, I just want to tell you what's cool about this sweater. First of all, it's knit in pieces, which everybody, it's very popular these days to knit sweaters in one piece from the top down. I design a lot of patterns like that as well, but there are limitations to that. And sometimes it's good to knit a sweater in pieces. And in this case, that's what I did. And that's why, and then you seam it together. Seaming is really easy. I have a tutorial on my Instagram. It's like a 45-second tutorial and it covers it all. Like it's that easy. And it just allows you to use up all of your scraps. Since it's knit back and forth, you don't need to, continue the colors all the way through the yoke. You can get this really cool shoulder detail, which I love. I did my sleeves matching and my front and back match. I'm going to put in photos, but I think it's really critical that you see that there's a fluorescent yellow.
How much planning did you put into the color? Were you just kind of winging it stripe by stripe?
No, I planned it because I wanted to make sure that since it's knit from the bottom up, I wanted to make sure that when I got to the top, I wasn't left with like a mini stripe since every other stripe was the same width. So I had to plan out how many colors I was going to use and what width each of them was going to be in order to make sure that I was ending where I wanted to.
Yeah. So done in this style, a great project for going through your stash.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then this is something we touched on last time where I was like, this is clearly, and you would describe this as a rainbow colored sweater.
For sure.
But what I was especially proud of myself for is not going straight Roy G. Biv. Like I didn't go, I mean, let's be honest, this blue to green.
There's elements of it, sure.
But to go purple to yellow, that is not.
Yeah, you were probably sweating while you were doing it, right?
This is so stressful. Yeah. But I'm happy that I did it.
Yeah.
I do feel like it is, look, I'm not pretending that it's not a bright rainbow multicolored sweater, but it's maybe a little bit less, childcare worker.
I really feel like you've developed a lot.
I do not mean that as an insult. I just mean maybe less, not childcare worker. I mean childcare like animator of a children's television show.
Right. I feel like though in the last couple of years you've really expanded your horizons in terms of putting kits together.
Yes, that are a
you
little
use in
bit
projects, like kind of small deviations from the standard rainbow format.
Having said that, I picked big pops of color for the cuff and the hem. I also, another thing that I just feel like people, I did plan it out. I obviously really planned, like I had my whole body sequence decided before I started knitting it. And then I did the same thing for the sleeves. But don't overthink it to the point of where you're like, where there's no spontaneity whatsoever, or where it's like so planned in the sense that, okay, it's super planned, but I reused a couple colors from the body in the sleeve, not in the same place, but like several colors actually. So like I used the black and white, but I reversed the order and I put them a little bit lower. I used what did I use here? The blue, this blue, but not the other blue, sort of, like just be loosey-goosey with it.
It's planned, but less expected.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of, it's like plan it and then take something out and throw something else in and like let yourself go a little bit. I think that it really helps. I think that creativity can really thrive when there's like a little bit of restriction there.
Yeah.
I don't know, just putting that out there. So this is perfect for tomorrow. We're going to have a ton of palettes, DK weight palettes in our update. And what a DK weight palette is, it's our DK weight yarn and 50 gram skeins. You get 8 colors, 50 grams of each, so half skeins essentially. So you can experiment with a lot more color than if you had to buy full skeins. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which much like your sweater.
I want to show you the 2 that Chris chose to show you.
I just picked 2. We have them stacked in the basement, and 2 really stood out to me, not for any particular reason.
And they kind of go really well together. But this one was really popular the last time we did palette updates.
Hope it's not too shiny in the packaging.
I know, it's really hard to see in the packaging. Well, really hard. It's less appealing in the packaging, but it's hard to hold up all day.
Some lovely greens, gold in the center there, and then more tartan and a garnet color towards the end.
I call that one Autumn Rainbow, and I think I really like it. It has like a 70s vibe for me.
So seasonally off, but this is what stood out. This is a little more wintry, I feel, with the natural and the blue. Chris
likes this one a lot. And this one, I like that it has warm colors and cool colors, kind of grungy colors and crisp colors. I'm into this one. I mean, this would make a really great Camaro.
If I knit a Gartrell today, I would probably take these 2 and figure it out from there.
And go to town.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So I love that I love knitting with lots of colors and little bits of color. So I love putting together these palettes because I feel like it really is perfect for that. Or blankets, baby blankets.
These are a fantastic way to end up with 8 TFA colors and not buy 8 full skeins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
So then the next, palettes are not a new thing, but we have a new thing in tomorrow's update. It is 5 skein, mini skein bundles. So I think there was one more, but I feel as though, oh yeah, there. So these we have done for years, mini skein sets. At one point, I think when we started, they had 12 colors. And then I brought them down to 10 colors because that seemed to make sense. And I think I'm going to continue to do 10 skein, mini skein sets. But for today's update, I did 5 skein sets. And one of the reasons why, these could come out if you wanted to, maybe, of the bags. So this,
I think they're showing up fine like this.
Look at this with this. This is like basically, oh gosh. You're the professional at holding stuff.
Yeah.
This would be like an example of a 10 skein, mini skein set that I would put together. And every time I do, I put it together and then I'm like, these separate, like just really sing. You know what I mean? Like this is a beautiful rainbow palette. This is its own thing and this is its own thing. And I've always wanted to sort of explore that. And then because I've been knitting so many socks and I'm launching a sock pattern tomorrow. I should have. That's relevant because that's kind of was that's the point of tomorrow's update.
So you did actually show the socks on the last.
I did. I'll just give you a refresh, but basically I'm thinking of something like this pattern that's in my. Oh, it has a name now. I don't think it had a name last time. It's called the Jager Sock Set. Did you know that?
Is it Mick Jagger?
Well,
similar to?
I mean, it sounded said the same, but Jager is actually I bet it's pronounced Jager. I bet it's
Spell it?
Jager. It's Jager.
Oh yeah, that's like Jagermeister.
So it's like Jagermeister socks. No, Jager. I'm gonna continue to say. No, I'm gonna start saying Jager. Okay. It's I was looking up synonyms for like diamond and sparkle because that's how I often name stuff. FYI. It's because I can't call it like diamond socks because that's just not a good name, and there's probably a million sock patterns already called that. So I'm like, okay, I need some synonyms. And since there's a diamond motif, and I hate naming things, and I'm very uncreative. I'm like, there's a diamond. Let's find synonyms for diamonds.
I don't think that's a fair self-assessment. You're not uncreative. You're a great namer. I know you've put it to me to name stuff before, and it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, it's hard, particularly because you want something. Anyways, I ended up with what that I found that was a synonym.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like that a lot. And so then the 3 patterns that are included are all jewelry inspired, I suppose. This pattern is called the baguette socks.
Mm-hmm.
So jewelry / bread themed. This one is called bijou. And this one is called bauble.
Nice.
Cute, eh?
Very cute.
So, and also this is the perfect, this is the perfect jumping off point for that. So you might want to, if this is what you're sort of thinking, you might want to get a 5 mini skein pack and then like a full skein of the
base color.
Yeah. And then you could knit a ton of socks with it. And lots of different patterns.
This just pops.
I love
hope it
this
looks
one.
as good on camera.
I love
that's
this
crazy.
one.
It's so nice.
This is what I would buy.
Yeah.
And
looks like the top of your sweater.
It looks like my sweater. It looks like my socks. It looks like it's I
very
guess it's
TFA
neat.
is what we're saying.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, these sock patterns will be available tomorrow as part of a kit. It's like a 3-in-1 sock set. I'm quite excited about it, and I've got lots of yarn to support the patterns.
Yeah.
So do you know what? This one is cool too. I really like this one.
Which is a conscious effort, right? That we're making.
We're making an effort.
We haven't in the past, and it just makes sense that if something exciting comes out that you've knit in our yarn, that we have our yarn.
It's the most obvious thing in the world, but I'm telling you, it's a lot of balls to juggle because everything takes time and everything needs to be planned. And we've been so often just like treading water and flying by the seat of our pants that like having everything ready to go on the same day at the same time has been sort of above like more than we've been able to do. But like we're making an effort. We're doing it this year. Yeah. So, and one thing that we did, because this is one of the first socks that I knit from this sock set, and I used this color. And then of course, this is classic TFA. I post
not available.
A picture of it. I've since knit 2 things in like this color combo. And I'm like, here's a picture. I'm so crazy about this color. Everybody's like, great, what's the color? And where can we buy it? I'm like, oh, no. That's not how this works. What do you think? I'm in the business of dyeing and selling yarn?
That's we did wasn't it at the old house?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
About a month of trying to nail a perfect pistachio color. And what we ended up with was slight variations of very usable, nice colors.
Yeah. So, which interestingly, actually, I do feel, I love saying stuff like this, but we dyed so many yellow and goldeny colors, and it was the hardest sell.
It was an overload, I think. There was just too much.
Also, it's just not a color that people, I think, come to us for.
No, but you can very easily hide it with other colors, and it becomes like
it works really well. I've used it in so many projects, but also it's also difficult to photograph. There's a lot of things. You know that I once spoke to a yarn shop owner. She was an online business, and she didn't sell red because it's so hard to photograph.
Yeah.
She was like, we just couldn't get good pictures that make it like really look like certain types of red. Mm-hmm. And so if she saw that in a catalog, she'd be like, pass, because we can't make it sell because they couldn't make it look good. You know, which was interesting. This was several years ago. Perhaps photography has come a long way since then. But there's some colors that are just hard. At any rate, I really like this palette too. I think this would make really fun jumping off point for socks. It's got sand. I've called this color goldenrod. I don't know if it had a name before or if it was exactly the same, but I've called it goldenrod.
Probably like pistachio 7 or something.
I feel like it's that. Isn't pistachio more green?
I mean, it's a greeny gold, I think.
And it is a greeny gold, but I feel like also perhaps the name pistachio is misleading.
For sure.
There's a lot, guys. Like if you dye the perfect gold, but then you call it pistachio, people are like, oh, this is a green, like, not into green.
Yeah.
And then they won't buy it.
Yeah.
Like there's
a lot of our names also haven't been like really representative of the color. It's just more based off of feel, So.
Yeah, at any rate. Okay, we've got sand, goldenrod, charcoal, plum, and rose gray. And it's like an unusual palette for moi because it's not green or blue. But I think that this would make like a really nice sock set.
Yeah.
Like some really fun stuff. So there's that. And then, so I'm quite excited about those. I just feel like there's a lot of possibilities for those. Also, they're not just for socks, sweaters, shawls, add little bits of color wherever you want. I love having little bits of color hanging around. So
just to fill out gaps in your stash too, if you wanted, for small projects.
So then we have actual sock sets. So you can hold that one. I just brought 2. I've put together 23 different color combinations. And here are 2 very different ones.
Yeah.
So this is the vibe I'm really feeling these days, as you can tell, because this color is showing up in everything. That's goldenrod. This is Lyra. This is sort of the one that's the closest to this sample that I knit. So if you want to knit a pair of socks like that, boom, there's your guy. This one.
So I'm gonna just close up on this a little bit.
I'll put in pictures.
Yeah.
Like I have,
just a lot going on though. If you hold it back, you've got like a soft gray look, but
that's our thing. Like that's what we're going
speckled.
For. In case you didn't know, that's always what we're going for with our speckles.
Yeah.
That from a distance, you're wearing a gray yarn, but as you're knitting it and up close, it is just full of magical little secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. But nothing garish.
No, good example of that coming up later.
And then, so this is the other one, a very
That's pretty springy.
That's very
nice.
springy.
Yeah.
And I also love, I put this color with absolutely everything. This is my jam.
Yeah, I think maybe a couple of years ago, you wouldn't put anything together that didn't have that in it.
It's the best. Yeah, that's it.
Still solid.
I love it. So and this was super, super fun. The way I thought about filming this whole process, and I might one day, but I think it's perhaps above my filming capabilities.
Yeah.
But what I really wanted to do was sort of set up a camera and film a sort of, what's that called? Stream of consciousness? Like my thought process on when I was putting colors together, how I make the kits. Because our approach, I did not sit down and write out a list of 23 different color combos.
Right.
I wrote out for Chris to dye a list of a bunch of kind of lighter speckles and solids, like colors like smoke and crisp gray. Because these patterns require some pretty high contrast for the details to show. And so since that's what we're showcasing, I wanted to have sort of like a lighter main color and then some pops of color for your accents. So that's what I'm mostly focused on. That's not exclusive. I didn't do just that. I put a lot in case there's a lot of options. But so basically we dyed a whole bunch of brightly colored mini skeins, and then we dyed a whole bunch of more neutral colored full skeins. And then I sat down with all of them for like 2 hours and then just mixed and match and mixed and match and mixed and match. And as I said earlier, how I think that having some restrictions really help my creative process.
Yeah.
And it really helps because I just kept grabbing things, putting it together. And okay, if I put these ones together, then I'm left with these options to make work in other combinations. So then you just kept having to switch it until everything looked good.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love doing that. It took a long time. So if I did film it, it would have to be fast motion.
Right.
And I don't know how I would film it. It takes a lot of space as well. So at any rate, I may work on trying to get that because it's really kind of fun to see all the different color combinations that come up and like how you take things apart and put them back together in another way. And then sometimes you've got 10 things that look great and then 5 things that are so then you've got to tweak back and forth until everything looks great. And it's just a really fun way to work.
That's a huge skill of yours. I feel like if I sat down there and managed to put together a nice palette, I wouldn't be able to take something out of it and replace it, right?
That is hard to make the most of everything that you have. Because I think I made... sometimes I did end up with some things that I didn't use because I just couldn't get them to work. Yeah. But not a lot. like not a lot. It's really fun. I love doing that. So
a lot of happy surprises in that. I'll come down and look and see some really unexpected stuff.
Yeah, things that if I were just making a list or just looking at images, you know, on the computer, and
just
being
wouldn't
like,
show up.
I just wouldn't come up with it. You have to see them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it's so fun. Oh, and I wanted to mention that this is the first time we're doing sock sets that have 2 minis, and that's because I did a poll. And this won by a majority. Who wanted, I said, do you prefer 1 mini, 1 full skein and 1 mini, or 1 full skein and 2 minis? And everybody wanted 2 minis because there's
seems like a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Why wouldn't you want an extra color?
Well, I mean, you're paying for the extra color. So if people think they're not going to use it, that's what I wanted to know. If people thought it was like redundant or I can only use one at a time. But then what one person pointed out is that, so shorty socks are really popular these days, right? Like socks like this. You can absolutely get 2 pairs of socks out of 1 full skein and 2 minis if you're knitting shorties, pretty much regardless of how big your foot is. Like I can knit you 2 pairs of socks. And just in case you're not knitting socks. I mean, I think most people are probably buying sock sets for socks, but basically it just gives you a lot of wiggle room. You can knit 2 socks or like 1.5 with a little bit of leftover from something else you have at home that you could get your 2 pairs. At any rate, it does add some more flexibility, I think, of what you could do with it. So that brings us to, I think that's it for tomorrow's update.
Yep.
So new pattern and lots of yarns to support it. And I'm very excited about that.
I think it makes sense. And it's January is very much taking care of Boxing Day. And once that's all out, it's nice for us to have something on the horizon. And that was this. So
I thought you were going on about January, like you thought it was still January.
No.
I was like, okay,
no.
Come on. Chris, this is a recurring theme. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the project that I just finished that I'm very also excited about. I need to go back on my synonym website and find new adjectives for excited. So this is a City Limits sweater that I knit for my 8-year-old son. I'm going to, when we're done filming, I'm going to try this sweater on and take a picture, and I'm going to put it up.
You think you can get into that?
I think it's going to fit me snug. I don't think it's something that we're going to share, but I mean, I think I could.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great size for Rowan.
It's going to fit him really well. So this sweater, in case you're not familiar with my City Limits pattern, it's one of my favorites. It's probably one of the patterns that I've knit the most because it's the perfect crew neck hoodie. Or not, it's not a hoodie.
No.
Crew neck.
No, it's not.
Sweatshirt style. It's worsted weight. It's super fast to knit. It's sized baby to adult. I knit my sample holding 2 strands of fingering weight together, and I faded it, and that equals a worsted weight yarn. And then I knit a sample in the pattern for my son using just 1 color of worsted weight. And it's 2 entirely different looking sweaters. My sample also has I-cord edgings on all of the hems, whereas for more of like a sweatshirt look, I do a ribbed finishing on the hems. And it's reversible. So you have to be careful when you're weaving in your ends. I like to do duplicate stitch, but I have instructions in the pattern on how to pick up the stitches for the arms and how to pick up the stitches around the collar to make it as reversible. Oh, I haven't snipped my ends. So you're going to be like, I thought you said reversible. But on the inside, the purl side has this really nice knit line. Row of knit stitches.
I feel like that's how Rowan wore his other one mostly. He kind of like gravitated towards that side out.
I don't know. I don't know if that's
half
true.
Half? Maybe he just put it on any way he grabbed it.
However he would grab it. So
just a nice bonus.
The thing about when you sew in the ends, you do sort of have to pick a side that you think you're going to wear it the most. Mm-hmm. And so I sewed the ends in. I wove them in on the purl side thinking that he was going to wear it the knit side out most. Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it really matters. It's not something that bothers him. I like to do duplicate stitch so that you don't see like a line of sewn in stitches. It's very invisible. You may see some end though, like, when you snip the end, you could have a little, at any rate, it's as invisible as you could do. Now, you could definitely do like a Russian join or something that requires very little That's it. That's for another video. But there's there's other things that you can do. But also, this is how we have a ton of sweaters that where I've just woven in the ends very carefully, and we wear them either way, and it works super well. So
that to me is like a perfect sweater. Beautiful neckline, great shoulder.
Yeah.
Like really simple, but nice details as well.
I love this sweater very much. So, and what's cool about this sweater is the yarn.
Yeah.
So this is now we're looking to the future. In the future of TFA, I
feel like this is something we could do a podcast episode and get more into this kind of the evolution of the business and prevailing trends in the yarn industry.
Yeah, sure. Because this is our 15th year.
Yeah, we've spanned quite a bit already.
Do you know that I just kind of recently realized that we are no longer like young, new, fresh faces in the industry?
No, we are not.
I was 23 years old when I started Tannis Fiber Arts.
Yeah.
So I was a very young knitter, like to have a business in knitting and now I'm almost 40.
We're pretty established, we'll call it.
We're just now old.
No, established.
It's just
gracefully fading into that.
You know us young knitters. That's how I identified.
Yeah.
I mean, I still identify as a young knitter.
Mm-hmm.
I think I always will. So anyways, the exciting thing about this yarn, which we will get into in much more depth in a future podcast when it's available, because that's not currently, because we're still kind of working on it, is it's a non-treated, completely natural wool. It's Highland wool, which is 50% Cormo, 50% Merino, which makes it very soft, very squishy. It's quite comparable to our pure wash.
Yeah, but so as non-treated, that's something I wanted to say, dyeing it and then seeing it in a finished garment. Not a huge leap from the feel of a pure wash sweater to this. I
mean, I don't like to dwell, again, we're not going to go into too many details about this because then it's going to just be super repetitive for our next episode. But it is, I don't go too hard on focusing on the softness of a yarn because I feel like it's really personal and there's pros and cons. The softer the yarn, the less hard wearing and more pilly.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to find a balance for sure.
There's a lot. This is definitely next to skin soft. Like I knit this for my son. He's going to wear it. I asked him if he found it comfortable and he said yes. Do you know what I mean? It's...
And in the trade-off, there's a lightness to it.
Yeah.
And like an airiness. And the way it took the dyes gives you a fantastic final result.
Yeah. So these are 2 skeins that are left over from this project. They're really beautiful. And I'm going to put in a picture where you can see like the nuances of the colors a bit better. And then just for an example, I do think that perhaps this is pure wash sock. It's possible that the speckles are a bit crisper. Do you think? Not as crisp as in like a super wash yarn. So we haven't dyed super wash yarn.
So they all, you still see there's like individual stitches with a different color to it. So it's definitely coming up clearly, but there's like this,
a veil.
It's almost like a filter to it.
Yeah.
Like a nice
really soft, a halo, a filter, a veil.
There's your synonym.
Yeah. It's I'm over the moon about it. So
yeah, we went into it not sure about how it would dye up, and it's just like no complaints at all from me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. That's something that we can all look forward to coming in the future.
I wish I could fit into this.
Well, you can dye yourself and knit yourself a sweater.
I won't.
Why are you not a knitter anymore?
I'm playing bass a lot these days.
Chris got into it again.
Yeah.
Chris was in a band, in case you didn't know.
A long time ago.
And the band is getting back together.
Potentially.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. So Chris is brushing up on his bass. So Chris is just every day. Boom, boom.
Hours.
Boom, boom, boom.
I love it.
I do too. No, I like that you. It's great. It's wonderful. And it sounds like I'm making fun. It's just bass is funny because it's so not melodic.
Yeah, nobody's getting serenaded, really.
And sometimes I don't know what song he's working on a song that I would know, but I don't recognize the bass line.
Yeesh, that's a problem. I guess I have to step up the practice hours.
No, it's because the bass line isn't the melody.
No, but
right?
it does drive most songs. It is really the integral part.
It's the most important part of it. Yeah. No, it's true. It's the heart.
It really
it's the rhythm section, no?
Yeah, bass and the drummer. That's that's where it's at.
Okay, so that was the project that I just finished, and now I'm going to tell you the project I'm about to start. But I'm really struggling to pick a color.
We have so much stuff to hold up today.
Yeah.
I hope that's something you guys are into, yeah.
That's what we should add to our intro. I did say that in our intro. I was going to be like, here at TFA, we knit, dye, and hold up yarn.
That was a long time ago.
Okay, so what I'm working on now, I have, over the past several years, slowly but surely, been working on updating some of my older patterns, particularly the garment patterns, to extend sizing, to just do some clarifications, or any kind of, I feel like I'm a better writer, designer, pattern layout person, chart maker, everything is better now. And so I'm just updating some of my old patterns to bring them up to my today's standards. And it's a lot of work. I have a great tech editor who does a lot, who really helps with it. Because it's super hard to do, because I've got patterns that I wrote 10 years ago. I'm not in that frame of mind anymore, so to get back into what I was thinking when I did it, and then it's hard. It's weird. It's hard. And I'm reknitting. I did it recently with my I Heart Erin pattern, where I had it reknit by a sample knitter, which was a super fun experience, which I'd never done before, in the size that I would wear today, because that's also something that over the years has really changed for me, is I used to wear my sweaters very fitted.
Yeah.
And I have since changed my preferences. And so now I prefer a sweater with a bit more positive ease. And so the sweater pattern is exactly the same, but the way that I wear it has what changed.
I think a couple of years ago it was
changed.
To knit a garment that was fully fit kind of showed your skill level at that time, right? To say that you could knit something that was appropriate for your body. And now to think of it, you have so many knit pieces of clothing that you think of it more as something in your wardrobe to serve a certain style. It's not just a knit sweater that's fit to your body. It's something looks better, boxier, or
I have definitely
comfy looking.
I also used to be really drawn to patterns that kind of had interesting knitterly details,
right?
Or that showed that only a knitter could make,
or showed off skill sets. You know,
Whereas now I'm definitely more drawn to patterns that are more, while interesting and fun to knit, just wearable kind of fashion pieces.
A nice piece of clothing, whether it's knit or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
At any rate, so with that in mind, the next pattern that I'm tackling is my Ombre Cardigan, which, speaking of fitted, I knit my original version very fitted. Mm-hmm. I wore that sweater a lot.
Yeah.
I have not worn it as much recently. It's just not the silhouette that I wear anymore. It's interesting. Although, how everything is cyclical. I feel I was out, I guess. I went shopping one day. And there's a lot of tight tops now.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's coming back. But I'm behind that trend, or ahead of that trend. I'm not wearing super tight sweaters at the moment. So I'm going to knit a new ombre sweater. I think I'm not even going to ombre it. I think I'm going to use 2 colors of mohair held together from top to bottom. So the way that my ombre cardigan is knit is I used 2 strands of lace weight yarn to equal fingering weight yarn at a pretty loose gauge to make a pretty flowy top. And I used 2 colors. I used 2 of the same color at the top, 1 of each color in the middle, and then 2 of the bottom, same color at the bottom. So it created a dégradé. But for this version, I think I'm not going to do the gradation.
Yeah.
Gradation. I'm just going to knit it all in a single color because I think that's something I would wear more. And I'm going to knit it in a bigger size. I might even make it a little bit more cropped. Like I'm going to play with the silhouette while still using the pattern exactly. I'm just going to, like, these are super easy mods to make. Just make it shorter, make it longer, adjust the ribbing, don't do multicolored, just to show it in a really fresh new light. And also, we haven't sold our pink label lace weight yarn that I knit in the used in the original sample is 100% superwash merino lace weight that we discontinued in 2016, like years and years ago. So I haven't had a yarn base available for this pattern for years. And so I'm going to do it in mohair, lace weight mohair. I think it's going to be such a different look. It's a yarn that we stock.
Such a cool look to have the two different colors.
I think it's going to be
neat.
I think it's going to be neat. I think it's going to be really subtle because mohair can often look pretty variegated in the skein and then knits up really softly. Yeah. And so especially if you're kind of subduing that variegation, I think it's going to look like a solid. I'm not sure what it's going to do, but I'm quite excited.
We strive for layers of color and depth within one skein. So just by default, holding two together, it's going to give you like another dimension to your sweater.
I think it'll be really neat. Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
Show them some options.
But I can't pick a color. So this is neutral.
Are people going to vote on these, or are you just going to pick?
I'm probably going to pick, but I would still like, your input is welcome, but I suspect that I'm going to cast on. I'm going to at least start swatching.
This is a very nice option considering it's like spring coming up as well.
Yeah, so this is Sprite and Crystal, and the Crystal looks really blue here. Yeah. Maybe it's especially blue skein, but at any rate, those together would be just like a very springy option. I'm into these ones too. This is Pink Mimosa and Bisou. Yeah. And this would be like a really pretty pinky, yellowy.
I think for a halo-y mohair, that really works well.
I think it could be really pretty. Yeah. See, when I'm picking colors, I try to think of like, what am I wearing it with? Yeah. So this I would wear over, I guess, like a white tank and light jeans, and that would be really pretty. But then I also try to think of, what other outfit could I wear it with? And if it can only be worn with one thing that I can picture, then perhaps it's not really something like the most versatile option. Right. Sometimes a knit is really specific and it doesn't have to go with everything, but sometimes it does. This is probably more versatile because neutral is just really versatile. But
yeah. I felt like it was maybe a bit dark since we're just coming into spring, but super nice.
Yeah. That's Deep Space and Mona Lisa. So I'm actually leaning towards this still. Right. But only time will tell.
Yeah, that would read more pinky purple, and
I also really love light colors in the mohair. It's fun. Yeah. So I find that they just really, the halo adds so much to the light colors. So I'm into this. Yeah, but, super nice. But I'm still undecided because I also just love this color. Like this, maybe would be really nice.
Man, there's a lot of things.
Honestly, right? With mohair, I kind of feel like you could mix any two colors. This would probably be cool. Yeah. Like you can mix anything and you kind of can't go wrong. You can put, so that is what I'll be casting on next. I'm very excited about that. I love breathing life to these older patterns. I think that breathing new life into older patterns, so often it's just about the new pattern, right? Yeah. Like, and then any pattern that is over almost a year old, I would say, in knitting, kind of, it gets no airtime on Instagram. People aren't posting about it. And it's hard, but I try to make an effort in my own posting to like continue to wear and post older patterns. Yeah. Because I still wear and love them.
Different bases and slight changes too can always,
make something fresh.
Give you a good reason to have two versions of the same pattern, right? Yeah. If you like something, if you've knit it up and it fits, well, I don't need any lessons in that because if something works for me, then I'll just stick with it. Yeah.
Chris doesn't care about trends or the latest hot pattern. He is
just try to go for classics.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll knit the same pattern. You knit that, there's a Brooklyn tweed pattern. Oh my gosh. I'll look it up and I'll add the name to the screen, but it's, I wish I could remember what brownstone. It was called the Brownstone
cardigan.
Originally. It was a pullover, but you made it as a cardigan. You've made it as a
Cardigan,
pullover more than
turtleneck,
once.
Pullover.
It just fit him really well. His worsted weight, everything, and you've knit it several times.
I think it was the short rows and the shoulder.
Yeah,
that really appealed to me.
Yeah. So once you get one that works, that's great.
Yeah. But just to say, the new yarns and bases and little modifications on patterns can take something that if you already own the pattern, know it works for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be the latest and greatest thing out. It can be something from years ago that you can bring new life to.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that sums it up for this week, I think. That's what I had to say.
So maybe in our next episode, we'll talk more about the yarns we're using and where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's some winds of change.
So dramatic. We're looking at different yarn bases, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something
winds of change. Something's brewing.
Good times ahead. That's what I mean.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and we'll see you very soon.
Take care.
Bye.